everyone, my name is Ali Bollinger, and Leorah, I have been watching your videos for quite some time, and you finally got me to respond to one using the hashtag Rapunzelista tag. I'm surprised more women haven't responded to this, but maybe it's because they're all on the Facebook group and I'm not, which I'll get to later. But to answer your question, number one, why and when did I start rapping? I started covering my hair in some fashion in the fall of 2014. I was married in January of 2013, but as time went on, I felt very convicted that I need to have some type of covering on my head. I am a born-again Christian, and there is a passage in 1 Corinthians that I'm sure you've heard of women talking about. It's all over YouTube. It's apparently a hot take. I didn't realize that what I wore on my head could be so offensive or not offensive. I really don't understand it all. But here's my conviction. I choose to cover my head because God told me to. And by that, I don't mean there was flashes of lightning in the sky and in the clouds he wrote, "Ali, cover your hair." It was many years of me reading through that passage and God gently prodding at my heart saying, this is something I want you to do. Now, that is not to say that it is something that I believe all Christian women need to do. I don't. I am the only woman in my entire family who covers her head, aside from my mother-in-law who wears a small veil type covering on a Sunday to church. Other than that, it's just me, and I'm okay with that. My sister's a missionary, for goodness sake. It's fine that she doesn't cover her hair. I very much liken it to how Jesus tells us to love others as ourselves and to share the gospel with everyone, but there are certain people he has called as missionaries to have their job be to share the gospel with everyone. And I believe the same way with head coverings, and in 1 Corinthians when it's talking about headship, that, how do I explain this? I'm losing my train of thought. I really wish I had editing software right now. But anyway, it's mostly that God commands that women submit to their husbands and that their husbands submit to Christ. That's everyone, because that's the way that Christ loves us and that's the way that we submit to him. But I believe he has asked certain women to show that submission with a type of covering over their hair, specifically women in types of leadership in the church and those who he has just told to do that to. And that's me. He told me to do it, and after much prayer and talking with my husband about it, he looked at me one day and said, Ali, if God's telling you to do something, it doesn't matter if it's in the Bible or not, or whatever, it's not sinful to cover your hair. It's not going to hurt you to cover your hair. And if God's telling you to do something, then you probably should listen. And he's 100% right, because I've learned that God really does know better than I do. So anyway, all that to say, that is why and when I started rapping or covering in some fashion. Was the fall of 2014. I started off with a more veil type covering, like this, or like this, that I got from Joyce Long Coverings. I'll link that below if I can figure out how to do that. And it just sat on top of my bun, like that. Anyway, the reason I stopped wearing those types of coverings is because I had trouble matching them. I wear a lot of browns and creams, and this is black and white, and I'm a very colorful person. My mom always told me that I have a very gypsy soul, and that's when I found Rapunzel online. I've always loved wearing scarves in my head just as headbands, but could never get them to stay. I forget how I even found the Rapunzel website, but I saw the no-slip headband and the Oomtastic scrunchie, bought them, and have been in love ever since. They are amazing. They are my favorite things in the world, and I tell everyone who I see who raps about them. Okay. Question number 2, how did I find Rapunzel? I have no idea. I can't remember. It was so long ago. Thank you for being out there, though. Question number 3, what are your thoughts on the Rapunzel community groups on Facebook? I do not have Facebook. I gave it up quite a few years ago as twofold, as part of a assignment for when I was finishing my bachelor's degree online for one of my communication classes. We had to go media free for a week. And afterwards I went, this is blissful ignorance. I love it. And Lent was coming up, which is a Christian practice of abstaining from something in order to focus more on Christ. And before we celebrate the Easter season, and I thought, oh, you know what? I'm gonna stay off of Facebook and I'm gonna give that up for Lent. And you know what? Not only did I focus a little bit more on my relationship with Christ, I was a lot more productive at home. So, and at work, quite honestly. Oops. Anyway, so I'm not on the community group. I have heard wonderful things about it, but I'm not on it. My top 3 shapers. I am not a fan of shapers, mostly. I normally try to show a good bit of my hairline because Christian women don't cover for modesty. We cover as a symbol of submission, so we can pretty much do whatever we want with it. At least that's my conviction. But I do occasionally wear the Cloud9 shaper. That's what I have on right now. But anyway, because I wear it back so far, if I wear a shaper, I have to wear an extra headband over top of it in order to keep it from falling off the back. So I actually cut apart my signature shaper and I just use the velvet part as an extra headband to swap in and out. Don't tell Rapunzel I did that. Anyway, so yeah, the only shaper I wear is my Cloud9. That's it. What are my top 5 scarves? I absolutely love the Patchwork Paisley scarf. It's gorgeous. It is absolutely wonderful. Other than that, honestly, some of my favorite scarves I've gotten at thrift stores and flea markets. This one I recently just fell in love with. I just got it this morning. It is absolutely stunningly gorgeous. A friend of mine is from India and married a man from where I'm from, which is Pennsylvania, United States. And she said, hey, I have these scarves. I'm selling them as a fundraiser. Do you want any? And I bought $100 worth of scarves. Okay, so I have many scarves. I could not pick a favorite. I love them all. What are some of my favorite color combinations when wrapping? I don't really have a favorite color combination. I wear a lot of purples, so a lot of my scarves have purple in it. I'm very olive complexion. I have green eyes, which you can't tell because I'm in my bathroom lighting, but I do wear a lot of purple. I recently just got a red scarf that I love. It's so vibrant and so much fun. I wear a lot of blues too, surprisingly enough, which is a new style addition to my wardrobe, but I like it, so. I couldn't pick a favorite color either. What are my favorite wrapping styles? So this is Shira Tails. I just have them pull it off all to one side. I love having them down on both sides too. I love Shira Tails. They're just fun and I like them. I do a lot of Regal wraps. I work in healthcare, so if I'm going to have a busy night, I'll normally start off with Shira Tails, and then by the end of the night, I have kind of wrapped them up into a little like this and stick a pin in it, just to keep them out of the funk of what I deal with on a nightly basis. Yeah, those are probably my 2 favorite wraps, the Shira Tails and the Regal wrap. What was the most endearing or encouraging response to my wraps from the general public? I've surprisingly had a lot. I live in a very Amish Mennonite area, and an area that is also right underneath some counties that are more racist in nature, I will say. That's a safe bet to say. I don't think they'd be offended by me saying that either. It's pretty well known. So I was very skeptical of wearing a full head wrap in my county, but the public that I've met have been extremely encouraging. I have had many coworkers come up to me even coworkers that I don't know at work, and just say how beautiful my headscarf is. I've had patients and family members tell me how much they love them and how they make them smile. And I work at a veterans hospital, so I'm dealing with my majority of my patient population is 50 years old plus white male. That's the demographic of my area and my patient population. And they love them. They think they're just pretty and they make them smile. I had a little, I think she was about 8 years old, a little girl ask me how I did my wrap just Friday. I had to redo my head wrap. I had a square tickle on, and it was bloomin' hot that day, and I just had it tied basic, but I forgot to put my daughter's hair up, and she's 3 and she was sweating, so I took my tickle off, grabbed my Oomtastic scrunchie, grabbed her hair, threw it up in the scrunchie, and then kind of twisted my hair flat against my head and put my tickle on like a turban with my no-slip headband. And as I was doing this in the public bathroom of a tractor show, this little 8-year-old girl was just staring at me and staring at me. And I looked at her and I said, do you want to see how I did that? She's like, yeah, I've always wondered how I do it, how you do it. So I was showing her and we had a lot of fun. But I've had amazingly encouraging responses from the public. Maybe not so much my family, but from the public, yes, they love them. How does my husband support my wrapping journey? My husband is amazing. I was set up with him on a blind date about it's 2019. So about 7 years ago now. And we went out on that blind date, had a couple more dates before I had to go back home, which was about 8 hours away at the time. We dated long distance for 4 months. I moved home, got a ring, and married him 5 months later. And I married him because I studied his character and I saw how he treated the women in his life and how he loved Jesus and was certainly not a perfect man, but trying to be a good man and a godly man. And I said, yeah, I can live with that. And he's also slightly crazy and fun and fits very well in my family and with me. But anyway, he's amazingly supportive of anything I do. And I was unsure about the full wrapping at first with what he would think, and he loves it. He points out scarves for me when we're out shopping. He loves it. He thinks it's beautiful. Funny enough, when I first started covering, I was wearing something similar to this, but it was made of a net, like a stiffer net material that you pinned on with straight pins, like a more Mennonite traditional covering. And I borrowed it from his mother because I didn't have one and she had a spare. And I walked out in the kitchen that first Sunday morning before church. It was the first time I ever put it on. And I looked at him and he's there making eggs. And I'm like, well, what do you think? And he looked up and he's like, what am I looking at? And I'm like, I have a bonnet on my head. How have you missed that? And he's like, oh, looks fine. He doesn't care. He cares, but he's so cool about it. Anyway, what have I learned from Leorah? Leorah just makes me smile. She probably didn't even know she did this, but in her video that she uploaded the other day about her son's birthday, it just made my heart smile. That is, my daughter just turned 3 in April, and it made my heart smile so much. But what made me smile even more was that your kitchen looks like mine, and you are a real mom of 7 kids. And I don't know how you do it. You amaze me. You upload videos like a gajillion times a week. You smile. Your makeup is always on point. As you can tell, I'm not wearing any makeup other than some chapstick. I do know how to wear makeup. I just work night shift and am really lazy about it. trying to be better, because it's so much fun to play with color and bring out my deep green eyes, and yeah, it's fun. But I'm also lazy and don't have time for all that most nights. So, a piece of advice I would want to share from my heart to other ladies. Seek God. Whatever decision you're facing right now, yes, it's important to ask yourself what you want to do, but if it's a big decision, it doesn't matter what you want, because our feelings are fickle and trends come and go. Right now there's a huge head covering movement in the Christian community, and people can be very about it, and I don't understand. Okay, God commands us to love each other as ourselves, as we love ourselves. And that's what we need to be focusing on. And I believe this is the same in Judaism and Christianity. We both read the book of Deuteronomy, and it says to love God first. And you know what that means? Loving him above our desires, loving him above even our family, and following him. And he will not steer you wrong. He created us. He knows exactly what we're supposed to be. And there is much, much peace that comes with following him. It is not always easy, but there's a peace that's there. So my piece of advice to share to your hearts is seek God and enjoy his peace. And if that journey leads you to the fun, beautiful head wraps that I have fallen in love with and have given me, honestly, my confidence back after some major life changes years back, then by all means, come join us at Rapunzel in the world of head wrapping, and it is so much fun. All right, I've now talked for almost 18 minutes, and I really need to go finish getting ready for work and pack my lunch. All right, bye.